do another one of these. This one has an intro. Okay.
Hi, my name's Cam, and this is my first ever video blog on Asking God Bipolar. The question I'm going to be answering today is, what is the difference between mania and hypomania? I want to start by looking at the word hypomania. Hypo is a Greek preposition that means under or beneath, so hypomania means under mania. So what that means is you have your regular sort of mood, then you might have your manic mood up here, and your hypomanic mood will be just below that. The main distinction between mania and hypomania is that full-blown mania can be really extreme. These symptoms can end in hospitalisation, whereas with hypomania it's a lot more controlled. Typically, it's type 2 bipolar that's most associated with hypomania, but I'm not an expert in classification.
Okay, what happens after mania? For example, hypermania. What would that be? Because so far that's not being discussed.
I have, however, seen an amazing video by someone called Katie Morton on YouTube. I think she's a therapist or a psychiatrist or something like that, but she describes it really clearly and with pictures. So I'll put that in the link for you to have a look at. Everybody has their regular good mood, but with hypomania, it's like a few levels above that. So, you feel really good, you want to go out more, you want to socialise more, you think faster, you talk faster, you move faster, you're more productive, you're more creative, you want to socialise, you've got a lot more energy, you sleep less, it's amazing, you feel so good.
Okay, how much sleep less? Like if you can describe your exact life experience with what you're calling bipolar, okay? How much sleepless and for how long of a period of time would that go on for?
For me personally, I noticed that I become a lot more outgoing and a lot more sociable. I talk a lot faster, I move a lot faster, I'm more erratic before today. I can't keep my attention on any one thing, so I can't focus. And if I'm having a conversation with someone, I can really annoy them because my attention span will just flip from topic to topic to topic, and I'm like a magpie with a shiny object. If I see something, that's it, my attention's gone.
Okay. When you're having this experience where you can't focus on conversations and as you're saying that your mind is sort of all over the place, have you ever just stopped and began writing down your actual thoughts during that time? Um, were you taking any kind of stimulants during that time? Um, if you could describe the exact situation, like one situation that you can think of where that occurred, if you could describe exactly what was going on in terms of what you're talking about, not being able to focus on a conversation.
So yeah, I do tend to annoy people quite a lot when I'm manic, well, hypomanic. My closest friends have pointed out that I do get obsessive thoughts when I'm in a hypomania, but I'm self-aware, so I kind of know I'm obsessing. I definitely get more creative, and some of my best creative writing has been done in a hypomanic episode. I really enjoy my hypomania, well, most of it anyway. I enjoy it that.
How would you describe your parents, your caregivers growing up in terms of their mental health, their emotional health? How would you describe them? Were they examples? Would you consider them to be happy people? Um, do you recall a lot of like music or dancing or laughing at TV shows and family conversations and like throwing a ball around outside? Were your parents married? Did they have a happy marriage? How would you sort of describe, um, your childhood experience? Um, if you had to classify your caregivers, because sometimes it's not, your parents, if you had to classify your caregivers' disciplinary style, how would you describe that? that's it for that. So what's
much
next?
that it was probably the main thing that I was worried about when I went to the doctors and I was diagnosed with bipolar and they told me that I was going to have medication. I thought it was going to take away that amazing mood that I got in hypomania, and I didn't want that to happen.
Okay. Did you mention what age that was that you were diagnosed with this bipolar or put on medication? That's significant.
My medication's like a buffer at both ends, so even though I do get hypomania, I don't ever go into the realms of mania anymore, which is a very, very good thing. So in contrast, if I was to describe full-blown mania in one word, it would be frightening. With mania, it gets to the point where everything's just overwhelming, it's just too much. You know, you've full-blown mania in one word, it would be frightening. With mania, it gets to the point where everything's just overwhelming. It's just too much. You know, your thoughts are going so fast that you can't pick any one thought out, which pretty much means you can't do anything. It's horrible. It goes past the point of feeling good to feeling really out of control, and you can get like really fantastical, unrealistic thoughts, like and grandiose thoughts, like you're chosen by God or aliens or whatever it is that you believe. In my mania, full-blown mania, in one word, it would be frightening. With mania,
Can you describe how being chosen by God would be grandiose? Just you personally. Do you find that to be grandiose, or someone told you that? And if you believe that, if you could describe why that would be a grandiose thought to be having. Okay?
it gets to the point where everything's just overwhelming. It's just too much. You know, your thoughts are going so fast that you can't pick any one thought out, which pretty much means you can't do anything. It's horrible. It goes past the point of feeling good to feeling really out of control, and you can get like really fantastical, unrealistic thoughts, like grandiose thoughts, like you're chosen by God or aliens or whatever it is that you believe in. In my mania, I thought I was invincible. So I genuinely believe that I can jump out of a 10-story building and hit the floor, get up and brush myself off. Or I thought that I could get hit by a car on the motorway and bounce off like a superhero and stand up and look mildly irritated. Scientifically, I knew that that wouldn't happen, so I understood the physics of impact. But there was always that voice in my head that was just like, "You'll be fine. You'll be fine." It was scary, like really scary. I just want to clarify here that I've never actually heard any voices in my head other than my own, but it's not unheard of that people with severe mania can hear voices. Well, that's never happened to me. The other thing I did when I was manic was I spent thousands of pounds. I literally financially crippled myself, and I spent it all on I had absolutely no idea. So yeah, that was quite a wake-up call for me, I suppose, afterwards. I do experience some of the same things in hypomania as I do in mania, but I think the main difference is take things like obsessive thoughts or disassociation. In hypomania, I'm kind of self-aware about it, and I know I'm doing it, and I can control it to some degree. Whereas with mania, I had absolutely no idea what was going on, and it was about 100 times worse. It was destroying my life, literally. Whereas with hypomania, I still have enough control to live and function properly. So in summary, the answer to the question, what's the difference between hypomania and mania? Hypomania is like a lesser version of mania. You're self-aware, you do function. Yes, it's going to be difficult, but you can get through it. Whereas mania, you lose your sense of self, you're not self-aware, you can cease to function completely, you can have unrealistic thoughts, you can make horrific choices and do things that are completely out of your own nature, and mania can lead to hospitalisation. So that is my answer to the question. I hope it helps, and if there's anything at all that I've talked about that you want to know more about, then yeah, ask me.
That was actually very helpful. Hopefully, those things have been gone over. How old is this testimony? Okay, that one is like 2 years ago. Um, she may already know this, but what can happen in terms of that not being able to concentrate is that children that are very verbally abused can develop that because they're always doing something wrong. So, and when there's a lot of yelling and noise, and a parent is like making all these demands, like clean this, now do this, now do that, and it's like a bombardment, that can be triggered by other things in terms of when that's happening to her. Um, and that parents or caregivers that have major clinical depression, and they may even veer into sadism, and they're extremely overcorrective. That is not a mental illness on your part, but sort of what happens to a child's mind having that abuse done to them and having that experience. Where normal childhood things are you're out of control, or you're too loud, or you didn't get up when you were supposed to, you stayed up too late, you're sleeping too much, you're not sleeping enough, you're eating too much, you're not eating enough, you didn't pick up your room. It's just a continual thing. Some people are not really equipped to be parents, and they sort of vent all of their frustrations in life on their children because, like other people in the world, they can't, in their minds at least, they can't express themselves, or they feel that they are being somehow controlled, and so they sort of become very authoritarian with their children. Even just a chaotic household could probably produce the same thing, where there's just way too much going on within the household, way too much noise, way too much confusion, confusion about what actual rules are within the household, confusion about what is actually correct and what's not correct, and what's correct behavior and what's not correct behavior. And that becomes a constant anxiety that will build and 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 build, and will go into what some people call mania. That is actually what that condition is. So hopefully we're journaling, and we are getting some activity, and we're learning to sort of understand, that your behavior, is it really sort of incorrect? And is there some sort of a worry about a clock and when you're supposed to do things, and things like that? So clearly a difference in the tone, because there's a reason why. And hopefully that was helpful. And we're getting more and more actual doctors, coming out and doing their jobs. And we're not helping parents abuse their children, and we're not helping parents hide from the effects of their abuse on their children, okay?